September 27, 2011. Before we start, I am requesting all cell phones and electronic devices be turned off or in a mute position as not to disturb the meeting. Let me do mine right now. Any member of the public also has a right to make an audio or video recording of an open session of a public meeting. A member of the public who wishes to record a meeting must first notify the chair and must comply with reasonable requirements regarding audio or video equipment established by the chair so as not to interfere with the meeting. The chair is required to inform other attendees of such recording at the beginning of the meeting. We do have one person that is recording tonight, as far as I know. Oh, there he is. We have a roll call.
Mr. Chairman, all 5 selectmen are present, as is Mr. Andrews, Town Administrator.
Okay, at this moment, we're going to have one of the selectmen wants personal privilege on speaking.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I'd like to thank the many folks who called or emailed or sent notes about my recent hospitalization. I was back in the hospital last week, feeling much better today, and I want to thank you all for your wishes. We all live in Wareham, and this week is my week in the blog bucket. Unfortunately, today there was some late breaking news on the Wareham Observer site about my being involved in a federal investigation about my good friend Rick Stanley. A couple of notes on that. First, I want to apologize to my family, especially my poor mother, who's 76, and was greatly disturbed to find out that her son was the target of an FBI investigation. It's not true, of course, but that doesn't stop the blogs in Wareham. So, I also want to apologize to Dolores for getting her into this, because obviously it affects our employment, people at work. She happens to work with some people who live in Wareham. So it's not much fun, but it comes with the job. She didn't sign up for that part. And to my 2 kids who found out today that their father was supposedly involved in a federal investigation about my role in racism regarding Rick Stanley. We went through just an awful time in Wareham. I think it was just over a year ago, right, Rick? And where someone accused the chief of saying some despicable things. I was brought up in a good Catholic home, and if I ever used the language that he was accused of using, my father would have busted my teeth, and I would have needed to be in the hospital for that. So I just want to state, for the record, and to my fellow board members, and to all the people who call me today concerned about my family, I just want to say that it's not true. I am not now, or nor have I ever been, the subject of Federal Bureau of Investigation against Steve Holmes. I did call the FBI, though, and on a lighter note, the man asked me if I wanted to confess to any crimes that I may have committed in my lifetime, and I said no. I didn't really think I had any of those. But, and I'd also, so I'd like to just try to clear the air on that. And the only person that I've ever spoken to about that incident who wears a badge or is part of law enforcement is Rick Stanley. And I will end with that, but I would ask my friend, in the board's indulgence, to if the chief could also make a statement regarding this incident. So, Mr. Chairman, if that's okay, I would ask the chief to step forward.
That'll be his prerogative.
To clear the tone, first of all, as Mr. Holmes had stated, it seems like this town is impervious with these type of things going on. A lot of people have been victims, including myself, for making statements when I was not even present, and the town had to spend approximately $10,000 for a complete investigation on such foolishness with some of these cowards who sit in their parents' basements and continuously blog. But some of them show their faces, others don't. I have not been privy to and have no knowledge, not that they tell me a lot, that the FBI has any investigation going on currently involving my case. But I will say that I surely am pursuing what went on and will continue to pursue it. But I have not been privy to any kind of investigation taking place right now.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chief.
Chief Stanley. We'll continue on. Announcements.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, our first announcement, and I will repeat this weekly, I have it under my name badge, is that on Veterans Day, November 11th, we will be having the Veterans Day Parade in Wareham, which will assemble at 10, step off at 10:30. Veterans, especially at this time in our history, we owe a great deal of debt and service to them, and it'd be great to have a really good showing. One of the new features this year is that the committee is working on putting together a light potluck luncheon for veterans and parade participants to be held at the Multi-Service Center. I think we've asked to have this put up on the website last week or the week before. Bob White, as most of you know, is working with Sharon Boyer and John Wagner. If you have or you'd like to volunteer to help, or you know of a veteran service or community organization, please feel free to contact the Veterans Council or contact the members of the Board of Selectmen, and we'll be able to direct you in that to the right person. So we're hoping to have a great turnout and show our appreciation to our veterans. On the last day, coming up on town meeting, which will begin on October 24th, the last day to register to vote in order to participate in the October 24th town meeting is Tuesday, October 4th, which is next Tuesday. So if you'd like to attend town meeting and have your vote cast, you need to make sure that you're a registered voter by Tuesday, October 4th. The town clerk's office will remain open until 8 p.m. on the 4th to accommodate those folks who work and are unable to make it during the day. So the town clerk's office will be open until 8 p.m. On Thursday, September 29th, which is this Thursday, in the town hall, there'll be a municipal open space seminar for Wareham. It's an informational session for town officials to answer what is open space, how is open space protected, what are the economic benefits of the open space, and how are we doing in Wareham. And this session will begin, again, Thursday 29th. That's this Thursday night, 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Although anybody who believes that we'll have a meeting that only lasts 1 hour, you might be dreaming there. So I would plan to probably spend until 8 o'clock at least. And again, this is sponsored by the Wareham Land Trust. On October the 5th, which is Wednesday, Friends of the Wareham Free Library Day at Chili's in Wareham at 2885 Cranberry Highway from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. When you present a friend's flyer, we didn't get a copy of the flyers, whoever's out there working on this benefit. When you present a friend's flyer to your server, 10% of all sales, food, beverages, gift certificates, etc., will be donated to the Friends of the Wareham Free Library by Chili's in Wareham. Flyers are available at the Wareham Free Library and at the Spinney Memorial Library in Onset, and will be available soon on the WFL website. I guess you can check that out. They don't give the website here. Please help support the work of the Friends of the Wareham Free Library. We've had many of these days at COSI's for different groups. I know the elderly, we've had a bunch of these at T99. Thank you to the vendors and the restaurants in town who donate for our worthy causes. That's all I have for announcements, Mr. Chairman. I go around the table. I missed anything? That's it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Citizen participation. 2 hands. We'll start right up front.
Okay. My name is Bill Whitehouse. I live, I might as well give my full street address, 103 Gibbs Avenue in Wareham. 2 brief questions. Pardon?
Need to be closer to the mic.
Ah, sorry. Thank you. I live at 103 Gibbs Avenue, as has been routinely reported this last week. Please tell me, we didn't get an agenda for this meeting. Please tell me we didn't get an agenda for this meeting, and potentially that puts this entire meeting, well, makes it null and void for voting purposes. The same happened last week. Can you tell us what's going wrong here?
Mr. Town Administrator.
Let me check the bin, Mr. Chairman. I'm sure the agendas are here. I believe they were there last week. I see individuals with agendas in their hands. Pardon me. The agendas have been posted appropriately in accordance with the open meeting law. I see people in the audience with agendas.
They were not distributed online, as routinely is the case. The law says that they should be out by Friday, the preceding Friday at 5 o'clock.
I believe the appropriate standards have been maintained and that you're referring to additional procedures. I will check on that procedure, Mr. Chairman, but I see members of the audience, unless I'm missing something, the agendas have been available to
The
individuals.
paper agendas available here at Town Hall,
I'm looking right at them, sir.
the multi-service?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
They were not distributed online. The second question, Mr. Chairman, we have a selectman here in town who is no longer a resident. Are we going to have a special election?
Now, is that fact or you're speculating?
That's a fact.
Well,
That is a fact.
as long as he's registered in the town, as far as I'm concerned, he's still on board until otherwise notified.
Thank
He's
you.
still a resident. Thank you. Next.
Good evening, Sandy Slavin, Precinct 3. I also did not get my agenda email like I normally have, and I went to the town website and it wasn't even posted, which surprised me, so I got my paper copy here tonight. I noticed that the speed limit sign on Oak Street's on the agenda. It would be nice to replace that homemade looking one with something a little bit more official. If you're leaving town on Oak Street, it's 20 miles an hour. If you're coming to town on Oak Street, it's a default 35 miles an hour. So it's sort of confusing as to what the speed limit is on that street. Regardless, no one does it anyway. Just one more thing on the street speed limit signs. If you're coming down Minot Ave onto Narrows, the speed limit drops to 35. It never drops to 25 when you enter the town. So theoretically, anybody coming down the Narrows doing 35 through the town is not breaking the speed limit. There's no sign reducing the speed limit to 25 like there is on Route 6, et cetera, et cetera. Just a note. Now, I'm up here for 2 reasons. One of the committees I'm on has asked for the policy regarding appointments and reappointments, and I went to the selectman's office and could not find one.
Mr. Holmes?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, the last time I saw them, and when you go in the office, they may have been moved. They were on near Shirley's desk in a box there.
I asked for it, and they said they could not find one, and that was, I think, Thursday, and they were supposed to get back to me, and I'll go back again on tomorrow.
I'll certainly follow up on that, Sandy.
Okay, thank you.
And
As
I
said,
believe we posted that. It should be posted online as well on the town
I went
website.
looking for policies, but I didn't see, I had 2 pages of it, and I didn't see it there because I looked there first.
It's not a to correct the. It's not a policy what the board decided on at that workshop. Were a set of guidelines.
Okay.
So
yeah.
if they're looking in the selectmen's policy book, it wouldn't be there.
Oh, maybe that's where it was looking
It's
for.
a guideline.
A guideline.
Right.
Okay, thank you. I'll go to
But I will double check and make sure. I know we had posted it on the website. I'll make sure it's still there. And we had printed copies, again, in that little paper holder for anybody who wanted to come in and get one.
Okay. As I said, one of the boards I'm on asked for it, so it will be discussion at our next meeting because someone was appointed to us that we had never seen before, and that will be a discussion. I'm here to talk about the digital recording policy 11-01. It's my understanding it's in effect now. Is the equipment ready for us?
As far as I know, it is.
And how long can I keep a recorder?
Well, most minutes should be done as soon as within 24 hours or no longer than 10 days. So I would suggest that anybody that has one do their minutes as soon as they can and then turn the recorder back in.
But it's my understanding the recorder, you keep the tape until your minutes are approved?
That
And-
hasn't been decided yet. I think we'll decide on that. Right now, they're thinking about digitizing all the recorders.
But can I really have my recording approved and submitted when my minutes have not been approved?
No, you're going to write your minutes down and turn the recording back into the town, and we're going to hold on to it. And if you need it for any other informational purpose, we can let you have it.
Okay.
Once it's approved, then we'll decide what's going to be happening with
Okay,
the
so
tape.
if I'm hearing this right, I record my meeting, I turn the tape into the administrator's
You
office,
write your minutes up first.
but my minutes have been approved by my committee.
I know it hasn't. You do your minutes, and then you turn the recorder in.
I return the recorder.
The tape,
When do I turn in the tape?
the tape and the recorder, you turn
Okay,
back
so
in.
my tape must go to the administrator's office before my minutes are approved.
Yes. Because her minutes won't be approved
sorry.
until the next
That's
following
right.
meeting. But your written minutes would be done as soon as possible. And as soon as you do your written minutes, you turn it in.
Okay, so I'm hearing that the Board of Selectmen are saying that the clerks of all the committees, commissions, and whatever must complete their minutes as soon as possible, even though our policy is up to each committee to have it ready for the next meeting. It doesn't make any difference when in the next month it's done, as long as it's done.
Any request for meetings needs to be done within 10 days. So there isn't any
Okay,
unlimited time
my
to do your
minutes, okay, so my minutes must be done in 10 days. What do I do with them? My committee hasn't approved them.
Well, you hold on to it, same as you do always with your minutes. You hold on to it until your meetings are up, and then you go to your meetings, and you'll have it approved.
Okay,
If it's
All
approved
right.
or not approved, then we'll change it, and you'll make the changes.
I'm a clerk of one committee. I do my minutes 2 days before my next meeting. So I wait 28 days to do my minutes. So you're telling me I must now do it
I'm
in
not
10
telling you
days?
anything. I'm just suggesting what should be done, and it says 10 days. So you make your own decision on that. I think we're going to leave it at that until we get together and sell this all out.
Okay.
Thank you
Now-
very much.
This policy, excuse me, I'm not finished. This policy has been implemented, correct? Now, when will it be communicated to the chairs of the committees? Because unless I walked into the selectman's office, I didn't have it in writing. I have not received formal notification from the Board of Selectmen that this policy has been implemented.
Mr. Town Administrator?
You will be getting a procedural process manual to go with the recorders so that they can be picked up and returned to Town Hall you'll be given direction at the latter part of this week.
Okay, I guess my question is, how do I know that I have to record? If I wasn't watching a selectmen's meeting, I wouldn't know that I'd have to record.
Well, you will get notification.
I haven't received it yet, that is correct? And it's been implemented for a week now.
Mr. Chairman, through you, you will receive notification as all the chairs, and I think you were in attendance, if I recall, Mrs. Slavin, at the open meeting law when the attorney talked about going above the bar and talked about, and I even made mention that we were in the process of purchasing the requisite number of recorders. We are trying to, as the Chairman Cruz has indicated, digitize this, so we'll streamline it over time as we get into town hall virtualization. So there'll be a series of steps that will be put in place. But it was talked about and questioned and openly talked about at the September 15th
Great.
meeting.
And I was at that ethics meeting,
Right.
but how many other chairs were not?
Well,
And that's what I'm concerned about.
all the
And if I remember, Mr. Bowen said that once our paper minutes have been approved, we no longer had to keep a digital recording. That's what I heard from Mr. Bowen.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. We'll take it into consideration. We'll get back. As all committee members know, and they've been to the open meeting seminar, it was announced. It's been announced for the last 2 weeks. And as you heard right now, it's announced right now by Mrs. Slavin.
Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair.
Clerk?
I'm reading policy 11-1, which I assume was approved last week, right? And number 4 says, the recording may be retained by the body for the purpose of preparing minutes, right? It says, upon approval of such minutes, which goes along with what Mr. Bowen said that night. I think Mrs. Begley asked him that question. It said the recording shall be delivered to the town administrator clearly labeled with the name, committee board, and the date, location, time of the meeting. So what Mrs. Slavin just said is correct, that if her meeting is on September, 27th, and her next meeting is on October 27th, and so she would keep that recorder and recording until October 27th, and then turn it back in if her board approves those minutes. That's what it says in the policy, I think.
Can I
Mr.
speak to
Begley?
that? Yep.
Yeah, please.
I'm not sure why you have to keep the recorder. Certainly can keep the recording. Bring the recorder back in so that another committee can use it. Sign it back out. If there's any kind of query about the meeting, or there's a question about the minutes, you'll have the recorder then to play it back. But here's the open meeting law for public records is that you don't have to keep the tape. We're taking it one step further, and we're keeping the audio recording. That was my question to Attorney Bowen. Can we go above and beyond the requirements of the public records law? And his answer to that was yes. I'm not sure why a committee would have to keep a recorder for a month.
Well, only because if they wanted to play it. I mean,
Right,
could
but they
come
can
back
sign
forth
and sign it out.
or have their own recorder.
Well, Mr. Clerk, this is not on the agenda. We'll go ahead and...
I'm sorry, I was just asking a question because I
Okay.
was reading the policy.
Westfield.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Westfield, please. Discussion on Westfield.
Mr. Chairman, through you to the board and to the listening audience, Mr. Chairman, you have a update before you dated September 27th regarding the Westfield project RFP, and attached to it are 9 items of clarification for questions that came in and were raised through the process, and that's addendum number 4. Those 9 items have gone out to prospective parties, posted on the website, and I wanted to just bring the board up to speed with regards to the addendum, and I'll keep you posted on progress of this project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Consent agenda.
We have no bills this evening. Yay. Yippee. Licenses. Yeah, we have our first one. We have an application for a one-day wine and malt license permit by the Bartending Service of New England, care of William Fuller, 13 West End Avenue, Middleborough, for a golf tournament fundraiser on September 28th, 2011, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. under the Mass General Law, Chapter 138, and this is to be held at the Bay Point Pavilion on 10 Bay Point Drive in Onset, Mass. So moved.
Hello. How are you?
We have a second.
Second.
We have a second. Go ahead.
Yes, my name is William Fuller. I'm the manager for the Bartending Service of New England, and I'm before you again for a beer and wine one-day special license for a golf tournament being held from the hours of 10 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Any questions from the board?
No, sir.
Motion has been made and second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 5-0-0.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, next we have an application for a one-day all alcoholic beverage license permit by Little Harbor Women's Golf League, 3 Windsor Drive, Wareham, care of Barbara Moss, for their annual banquet to be held October 12th, 2011, from 12 noon until 4 p.m. under the provisions of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 138. The event is being held at the Bay Point Country Club Pavilion, 10 Bay Point Drive in Onset, Mass. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and second.
Good evening, I'm Barbara Morse, and it's our annual golf, our end-of-the-year wrap-up. We're holding at Bay Point, and that's what's before you this evening.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the board?
Just, Mr. Chair, just to verify the hours, Barbara, it's 12 noon to 4 p.m.?
We golf in the morning, we're done at noontime, so it's a luncheon.
Oh, okay. All right, very good. I just wanted to make sure that's correct. That's all I have,
Questions
Mr.
from the
Chairman.
board?
No, sir.
Motion made and second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 5-0-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Enjoy. Town Administrator's report.
Mr. Chairman, through you to the board and to the listening audience, I'll ask Chief Stanley to come forward. I just wanted to bring the board up to speed with regards to personnel action taken. I've appointed Gary Meisner as the Assistant Director of Assessment. That letter has gone out to the board. And once again, this is a critical position in the Department of Assessment, working with Elsa Miller. And I'll keep the board posted on some breaking personnel activity, hopefully this week, on other positions. But I wanted the chief to come before the board to talk with us tonight about a couple initiatives. Chief, if I can ask you, particularly with Hurricane Irene, I just wanted to edify the board, myself, the listening audience, as to the procedures and the protocols you used to put in for, Chief, I think well over $300,000 worth of reimbursements?
That's correct. First of all, you can't do this alone, and I have 2 assistants as Emergency Management Director, Lieutenant John Walsek, who has been absolutely unbelievable with paying attention to detail on this stuff, but also Dave Evans from EMS. I want you all to be assured that we, in the Emergency Management Office, are extremely up to date. We are, in fact, ahead of the curve on everything needed by the state. We've done initial assessments, and it comes to $310,000. That's initial assessments. Now, FEMA will be on town tomorrow, the 28th, at 10 a.m. with the damage assessment team, and they'll be viewing the areas that were hardest hit by the storm. Mark Gifford is going to be bringing them around, because right now we are, in fact, scheduled to receive 75% of what is called Category B expenses. And Category B expenses do not include tree removal. Category B expenses deal with what's called emergency proactive measures. What we hope to achieve in Plymouth County is 75%, reimbursement for Category A expenses, which covers debris removal. Plymouth County is working desperately to reach that level, and all signs indicate they're going that way. Tomorrow's meeting with Mark Gifford and the team from FEMA will be of great assistance. It's estimated that $125,000 was spent by municipal maintenance and tree removal. Another $80,000 to $100,000 at water control. So we also have a webinar on Wednesday the 28th, tomorrow from 12 to 1:30. During this, MEMA will be leading a discussion conducting local storm damage assessments of coastal areas for FEMA. And I know I've spoken to Gary, and he'll be working on that. He'll be participating as well from the Harbor Master's office. Things are going along fine, so we feel confident we're going to reach the numbers that we need, and we will keep you abreast of this as we continue. But again, we are ahead of the curve here as far as any of the daunting paperwork and other procedures that we have to follow. We have not missed a single webinar. We have not missed a single meeting, and we have full 100% participation. Secondly, the administrator has asked me to speak about a couple of things that are going on within the police department, and I have to at times kind of grab myself and think about these issues, because I've been putting the heat on at the department from a management perspective and getting tremendous cooperation from the staff. But I have to realize that I have only been here for 4 months full time, 4.5 months. Although it seems a lot longer because of the part-time status. But we've got a couple of exciting things taking place at the department, which is really going to make us shine even more so. But before I go into those, I just want to show you what we're doing as far as stepping on the gas with some of the undesirables in town. In fact, I had some meaningful dialogue with a young fellow in a cell the other day. It was a history of drug dealing and weapons and so forth, and I politely, or maybe not so politely, told him that probably the best thing to do after he was met with a couple of flashbang grenades in the Red Wing trailer park the other morning by the Simlic SWAT team, I told him the best thing to do if he wants a good night's sleep is to move out of this town. So he proceeded to talk to me quite vividly about some things he'd like to do with me, but I think he's getting the message, because he's pretty low-key right now. We've been extremely active in drug enforcement. A lot of you have seen the fruits of that with the 4 raids we conducted at 10 p.m. on the night of September 14th. That was at the Silver Lake Motel and also in Onset on 9th Street. We had 25 officers brought together that night due to the fine surveillance work of the Wareham Police Detective Division, coupled with the Drug Enforcement Administration. We brought in the Mass State Police Department of Corrections, narcotic officers, and we all got together and we proceeded to make ourselves known simultaneously at 4 locations with search warrants. We seized cocaine at several locations which have 5-year minimum mandatory sentencing. In addition to that, we made 8 arrests. So it was a good night's work with an awful lot of effort that goes before that and after that. In addition, on September 22nd at 5 a.m. at the Red Wing Trailer Park, we also made a search warrant and entered that residence with the Simlic SWAT team due to a dangerous situation that was there. We have many more scheduled, many more activities, and as we did last winter, it is my goal during the course of the winter, late fall, early spring, to rid the community of a lot of our undesirables. We did that last year, and I think most of you could see the difference in some of our resort areas. The people who are used to hanging around are no longer around, and I will guarantee you that by next summer, the ones we missed will find another location. We're going to relocate these people, whether on their own or through our efforts. So things are going very well. We've got a lot of other proactive plans in place over the course of the next several months that have been a long time in coming. But coupled with that aggressive law enforcement, which we did an awful lot of community policing over the summer, a lot of problem solving, a lot of working in the tourist trade and so forth, and now's the time to put the hammer down so we don't end up as some of the other Cape communities have with their winter populations running amok. But the future goals of the department are clear. I have 4 major goals, and we're starting on them right away. First of all, I'm glad to report that in January, we will in fact become an accredited agency. We are currently a certified agency. We have the assessors coming into the Wareham Police Department in November. We've already made plans, and they will be dropping in on us to do a final assessment. Any repair work that has to be done will be done over the course of the next couple of weeks, right after that meeting in November, and we will receive our actual accreditation documents in January. That is a tremendous milestone, and on the part of every employee at that police department, civilian, sworn, union, and non-union, they have all come together in a tremendous fashion to make that department what it is and what it will become. In addition to that, we have a traffic team starting. I heard some issues about traffic brought up earlier and signage. That surely is a problem. That is a problem that is not just in the town of Wareham, but throughout New England, because these communities were built with roads already there. It's not a planned community. But we will be taking the bull by the horns, and we will be fixing that problem as we did in my past job in North Andover. We will be coming with recommendations regarding many different signage issues through our new team, a 2-man traffic team who are going to aggressively affect traffic patterns in town, as well as a safety officer. Those officers are being chosen currently, and you will see a tremendous difference statistically in the amount of personal injury accidents which take place in this community. It is clear from a law enforcement perspective that the more citations and the more contacts with citizens due to motor vehicle stops, it is clear that that does affect personal injury motor vehicle accidents. We will be working an awful lot on an educational component too. The 3 E's of traffic enforcement are education, engineering, and enforcement. We will work diligently in all 3 areas because that's one of my goals now. Once we're accredited, I want to start honing in on some of these other issues. It's also my pleasure to report that I've already made contact with a couple of people about developing a 5-year strategic plan for the Wareham Police Department. The strategic plan will be the first of its type for this department and will clearly define an operational plan for the future. It'll set out goals, mission statements, and it'll be developed by the men and women of the Wareham Police Department, not in a vacuum, but with citizens' support, citizen meetings to hear from our residents, our customers, about what they, in fact, are looking for in the police department, and you, our elected officials, who represent all of them. Those meetings will take place. There'll be workshops over the course of the next several months in the winter, and it is my hope that by springtime we will have a strategic plan to deliver in a formal fashion to the Board of Selectmen of an accredited agency which is moving forward and starting to hone in and work smarter as far as how we police this community in an effort to clearly define our roles, which is to safely have people living in this town. And I think the end result would be exactly what you're all looking for. With a safe community, businesses will thrive. With a safe community, residents will survive and will strive. And that through this effort, I think you'll see a real difference in the town of Wareham. The last project we're working on is, in fact, I was at school today and tomorrow and Thursday, along with Lieutenant Walsek, our IT employee, Steve Rogers, and one of our patrol officers, Nate Aronson. We are working on a project by the Bureau of Justice Assistance and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, and it's called Data-Driven Approaches to Crime and Traffic Safety. Well, what is that? It is not simply a program. It is a philosophy. we have in fact embedded in the Wareham Police Department a philosophy of community-oriented policing coupled with problem solving. The fruits of both of those things are evident, I believe, because I don't think I live in a vacuum. I believe they're evident in what's happened already in this town from a relationship the community the police department has in true problem solving as it takes place. We surely have a long way to go. We surely are in a position where we've made a great dent, but we're going to keep the pedal down and keep pushing. But what we're going to try to do with limited resources is by institutionalizing this philosophy, DDAX as it's called, data-driven approaches to crime and traffic safety. It's an operational model that uses integration of location-based crimes and traffic data to establish effective and efficient methods for deploying limited law enforcement resources. It's a philosophy, like community-oriented policing, like I stated. It will drive decision-making down so that decisions can be made at the lowest possible denominator on the street in a philosophy that is driven to each and every employee about solving these problems. In essence, what it amounts to is, if all of our problems by data does in fact come to a specific location or 4 or 5 hotspots, then we want to make sure that's where we put our resources. It is proven that a simple motor vehicle stop with the data provided will come up with burglary suspects, robbery suspects, people who commit larcenies, just by the mere fact that they're in our database, and we can date and time those things. We have all that data right now, but we're not using it effectively. We have a great software program. We have a full-time IT guy. It is time to hold them responsible to use that data in an efficient manner, not only for the detective division, but for the patrol operation division. Around the country, as I found out today, when these approaches are put in, crime as well as property damage, as well as personal injury accidents drop dramatically. It is all coupled together, and the future is extremely bright. We're going to work with the staff, the command staff first, and then the patrol division. And I feel that all these things coupled together will surely put us on the map by next spring, so that when we are in fact facing an influx of additional people, it'll surely be a smooth running ship. And I just have to stay in October of '09, when I developed the state of the Wareham Police Department, when I came on as a part-time chief after I assessed the department when I started in August of '09. I reviewed this the other day, and I keep this in my desk. We have come a long way in a short period of time. The assistance that each and every one of you have given the Wareham Police Department, from a moral support to very tight financial dollars, dealing with some of the equipment problems that we have had, is in fact making a difference. As tough as the decisions are at times, you as a board have stood tall, taken heat sometimes for decision making to back this police department and to move it forward. I will not squander any of the taxpayers' money when it comes to dealing with these problems, but I firmly believe that if in fact Wareham is going to change, it starts with the Wareham Police Department. If it is a community that is not safe, and if it is a community that does not have a law enforcement agency responsive to the needs of our elected officials and the residents, nothing else is going to thrive. If I were a business owner, I wouldn't start a business in this community, and if I were looking for a home, it surely wouldn't be in this community. I will be able to look at anyone and say, come here, the future is bright, we're moving forward, it is a safe community, it is an efficiently run community, and once we get some community input on this strategic planning process, I think that you'll all be very well surprised at where we're going and how we're getting there. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. And I want to ask you one question, because I think it's right on target with respect to some of the programs that you put in place. And I want people to hear it, because you've just outlined a tremendous amount of ongoing programs and future programs. But with respect to the coordination from federal, state, county, officials and other law enforcement agencies. Just give me the 1-minute drill on that. How do you do it to get all of those resources in the same place at the same time? This is really a Herculean task to do, but just give me the 1-minute drill on that.
Yeah, I think it's imperative. I think that we in law enforcement have surely learned that we have partners and we need to use them. We owe it not only to the information sharing aspect of it, but also from a financial resources to reduce our particular costs here. We bring in other agencies. We bring in the Sheriff's Department, the State Police, the Drug Enforcement Administration, the U.S. Attorney's Office. We work with these people closely in a very confidential manner to affect change. And there was a time when people didn't want to do that, but not just here, everywhere. But it surely is the time to work cooperatively with each other. And I know that we've reached out to congressmen and so forth, support and grants. If grants go the right way, that are in there right now, federal grants, then I'm hoping to be able to walk in and really make a difference and show you what we have. But as far as the future goes, dealing with a lot of the juvenile issues in town, because that's next. That's what we really want to center our attention on.
Continue.
Chief, thank you very much, Chief. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, on item B, I'm going to have to reschedule Ginger Hastings in on the municipal health program, but I just wanted to report to the board and to the listening audience that this afternoon Derek Sullivan attended with Anna Miranda from the school district a webinar with respect to this new law, and you're going to be hearing a lot more about it. I've placed it on the agenda. It is the new law that Massachusetts passed to become more effective and efficient in the area of municipal health insurance, and that's a good lead into the next item. In your packet, you will see under this new law, Section 26, we are required to, as a municipality, do something what is called a dependent eligibility audit. What is that? That's an effort to make certain that whoever we have on our health insurance rolls actually belong there. And we try to do this in the past in a private way, but we are now working with our advisors from Group Benefit Solutions, and on the 21st of September, Kate Sherry worked with our entire leadership team, members Chairman Cruz and Selectwoman Begley was there, on this dependent eligibility audit. And it's not to embarrass anybody, not to put anybody on the spot. It's simply to say who's on our insurance rolls, how do we pay for those costs. All of our lives change over time. It's important to take stock of where we are in that process. And once again, it is now required by Massachusetts law. So I provided that to you in your packet. I'll keep you posted on it as we go forward. If I could, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to bring up Gary Buckminster, the Harbor Master, to talk with you about some proposed new changes in policy. Gary?
How are you?
Good, thank you. Yes. If you're colorblind, I'm in a color. Okay. You have the whole. Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir. Mr. Harbor Master, you're on. For
Good
your
evening.
distinction.
Can I start with the management area creation? I need to get the Board of Selectmen to approve an area that we transplanted this in June for the shellfish relay that we did. We conducted a 1,000-bushel shellfish relay early this spring. This area that I'm requesting to turn into a management area was we had about 400 bushel of quahogs that was transplanted into this location. The management area is not going to hinder recreational shell fishing at all due to the location. It is a little difficult to get to because there's no public access. You have to access it by boat. It is just to manage the commercial industry because the commercial industry seems they do take a little more product. So to stretch out the lifespan of this relay, I try to cut down the amount that the commercial fishermen can take, as well as the days that they can harvest on, and they can use it on a couple different areas that we also transplanted that are already in effect. So it'll be easier for them to harvest here because the stock's up, and then they go to another portion of town and they can finish off their catch in a different location. There's an attached map to it which shows the portion. It's called Shell Point Bay, just opposite of Shell Point parking lot. And we did the shoreline. If you're looking at the diagram that I gave you, you're looking at the southerly shoreline just below where it says Shell Point Bay is the primary location of where we transplanted the shellfish in. So that will be the area that's affected with this management area. I also left on the first page the requested motion for the chairman to make regarding that. The second
Gary,
area.
Excuse me, Chairman, you want to do that? Take care of the first piece first?
Do you want to go as we go, or you
Oh,
want
can
to
go
finish
ahead.
it?
You can do this one first if you'd like.
So I was going to say, in accordance with the provisions of Chapter 130, Section 52 and 54 of the Massachusetts General Law, I make a motion that the Board of Selectmen declare Shellfish Management Area Number 5, Shell Point Bay, open, effective November 1st, 2011, and subject to special regulations.
Second.
Motion made, second by Mrs. Winslow. Any questions? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? 500.
Thank you. The second one is the annual. We have to do the approval of the commercial oyster and shellfishing fisheries in town. Nothing has changed since last year, with the exception of one location I've added for softshell clams for the commercial fishermen. And I also would like to make an amendment to the, as I go down on to this, if you'd like to read through it first. On the commercial softshell clams, we've added one location. It's called Shell Point Bay Management Area Number 5, which we just passed. I would just like to add some wording into this if possible, and I will change it with the regulations that we hand out. I just wanted to exclude Shell Point, which is within that management area, just so the I don't want to see that portion of beach which is accessible to recreational shell fishermen get wiped out with the commercial industry going into there. So I'm just going to ask that it also state excluding the areas of Shell Point that fall within management area number 5, which I can add into the descriptioned areas.
Gary, I don't see Mr. Chairman, I don't see a recommended motion.
There should be a on the very
It's at
first
the-
page addressed
it's
to
at the bottom.
Mr. Andrews.
It's at the bottom of the page.
I have
there.
another copy if you'd like it.
Oh, this is the shellfish, okay. Thank you. I got it. I got it now.
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman.
That one. No, this is the one I have now is different. Okay, Mr. Chairman, in accordance with the provision of Chapter 130, Section 52 of the Massachusetts General Law, I make a motion that the Board of Selectmen hereby approve the commercial oyster regulations from December 31st, 2011 to March 31st, 2012, and the commercial soft shell clam regulation from November 1st, 2011 to April 30th, 2012, with the exception of Shell Point area.
With the exception of the Shell Point area. That's, yes, and that's for the soft shell clams.
Okay. Before anybody seconds that, for the soft shell area in section Shellfish Management Area 5.
Second.
Motion made,
Second.
second by Mrs. Winslow. Any questions?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, through you to Mr. Buckminster. Mr. Buckminster, how do these soft shell clam regulations relate to the notices that we get on a regular basis on whether certain areas are open and certain areas are closed? The reason why I ask is because I know that the previous boards, when those notices would come in, they would read them as part of the announcements. And I'm concerned that, I guess, for folks that are out there doing shellfishing, how do they know which areas are open and which areas are closed?
We do a posting. We get notified by Division of Marine Fisheries when they feel it's suitable for us to open the areas for these fisheries. And then it's under the town's, under our management when we can open these certain areas. As for the commercialmen, we set up packets for them when these areas come up, and we give it to them, and then we go. They know the breakdown, the locations, things like that. They're all defined, so they'll have a full packet describing both fisheries that they're doing for the seasons. Cohogging is year-round unless there's a big marine fisheries closure. We have areas that we designate for recreational shellfishing, so the commercial can't get into there. Also, we post maps in different locations. We're also trying to look into doing an online map which I can access and change, and that way we can access from the website. So that's a little difficult because I got to try and see if we can get some decent software to make that happen, because I'd really like to be able to have getting email updates and just go online to check these locations. And we also do a posting of Division of Marine Fisheries. Anytime they post an opening or closure or regulations or a change in status, they mail it to us, and we keep it in a logbook of
Okay. And I
notices.
guess what my question is I know that the Board of Selectmen used to read them here on a regular basis, and I'm not sure why that stopped. If it's a requirement,
I don't know, but I will check it.
Through you, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if Mr. Buckminster wants to supply that information
Sure,
easily
no problem.
email, I think that would be a good idea to have that as part of our announcements each
You
week.
just want the regular Division of Marine Fisheries postings that they usually send out?
I believe so.
Okay.
The opening and the closures, right?
Opening and closing of shellfish beds.
Yep. Not a problem.
Are there any other questions? Hearing none. Motion by Steve, second by Kara. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 5-0-0.
Mr. Harbor Master, thank you. Through
Thanks
Mr.
very much.
Chairman, thank you very much.
Thanks, Gary.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, item E, if I could just update the board. On Thursday, September 15th, Chairman Cruz and I met with Mrs. Lois Fontaine and Dave Smith regarding the proposed bike path program in Wareham. And we are working on some clarification of the existing program and ways to move the program forward. I have asked for, let me finish, Dave. Mr. Chairman, I asked Adam Reckier from the Regional Planning Council to come before the leadership team. I believe he's coming out on the 4th. I'll check it. I think it might be the 11th. To give us how to be successful at bike path programs. And he has a wealth of experience for Serpent. And with that, we are looking for, once again, clarification of some of the existing plans that were conducted by an engineer that was procured, and other ways to clarify the program. Does that cover it, Mr. Chairman? I don't know if Dave, does Dave want to say something? Do you understand?
Is he part of your agenda? If not,
You can come forward, Mr. Smith, that's fine. I have no problem with that.
I'm sorry, I don't know if this is proper or not, but I just came from Carver, and I've made the presentation to the Board of Selectmen there, and they're very enthusiastic about it. They want to continue. They're going to write a letter to Serped saying that they want to continue with the project or want to move forward with the project. And so it's got everybody on board now. All we got to do is put our little ducks in the rows there.
Okay,
So I'm sorry if this
That's
was
okay.
not appropriate, but
thank you, David. No, that's fine. Through Mr. Chairman, I think that's fine. The issue here, that there are some technical difficulties with the proposed plan, which we intend to hopefully get corrected. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As standard items on my report, We have, once again, completed some safety items for the Deacon School, and working together. I think the webinar is a great example of it, working with the school district. We had that shared experience this afternoon between our staffs, and that concludes my town administrator's report, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Holmes?
Yeah, now we're up to town business and the speed limit sign on Oak Street. Attached in the board's packet this evening is a letter from a resident requesting a speed limit and speed bump signs placed on Oak Street. Dear Mr. Andrews, we're requesting posted speed limits and speed bumps to be placed on Oak Street. Since the completion of the sewer project and repaving of our street, the traffic has increased. Most vehicles are traveling 40 to 50 miles per hour in a heavy residential area. This is extremely dangerous during boating season. No one slows down. The accident this last weekend was a perfect example. Our driveways are on a slope and curves with limited visibility. There is one sign at the beginning of the street, 20, and it does not look like a town speed limit sign. I'm not sure if a resident may have placed it there. The sign is small. If necessary, I'd be happy to take a petition to the neighborhood. Thank you, concerned citizen. The chief was going to review this, so I make a motion that the board direct Mr. Andrews through Chief Stanley to take care of this and get the proper signage put in place on Oak Street.
Did I hear?
Mr. Cruz,
Yes.
there's a letter here from Lieutenant Walsh. Is that? In the last paragraph of his letter, this is dated April 22nd, says, with regard to the speed limit on the street, I would suggest that Oak Street be legally posted with the speed of 25 miles per hour, a speed that by all indications appear to be reasonable for this street. And that's in response to the citizen's letter. So could we use that in lieu of going back to Chief Stanley?
Mr. Chairman, I will handle it with the Chief of Police and Municipal Maintenance matter for the board to take a vote to concur with the report.
Mr. Chair, I think the vote has to be to implement the report, correct? Because we're the road commissioners, right?
Change your motion. Make your
Did
motion.
anybody second that?
I did, but I'll withdraw my second.
I'd make a motion to have the board request Mr. Andrews to implement the report from Lieutenant Walsh and the chief regarding Oak Street and the speed limit signs and the speed bumps.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Winslow. Any other question? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 5-0-0.
Next, we have an issue on a speed limit sign on Shore Avenue. We have a report here from Sergeant Peter Flannery, dated August 23rd, and the issue on Shore Avenue. Shore Avenue is a public way in the town of Wareham. It is paved asphalt with a divided clear center line. The neighborhood is thickly settled. There aren't any displayed speed limit signs, and therefore the speed limit is 30 miles per hour. Sherman Street Extension is a dirt road with 2 or 3 houses. The road is very short. Directly across from the street is Sherman Street. Sherman Street leads to Swiss Beach Road. A short distance from Sherman Street Extension is the intersection of Pilgrim Avenue. Pilgrim Avenue is the main access to Hamilton Beach. Vehicles leaving Hamilton Beach frequently slow but do not stop at this intersection. This is the source of some of the reporting party complaints. Shore Avenue is the main access point for one of the parking lots leading to Swiss Beach. There are many side streets off of Shore Avenue as well. The area in question is fairly straight, and the vehicles could easily speed by the homes in question. During the summer months, these roadways have heavy pedestrian and bicycle traffic. After inspecting the area, I suggest a posted speed limit of 20 miles per hour on Shore Avenue. I suggest adding signage on Swiss Beach Road and Shore Avenue alerting motorists of pedestrians and blind driveways. I suggest a fixed stop sign and a stop a stop line added to the intersection of Pilgrim Avenue and Shore Avenue for motorists exiting Hamilton Beach. Respectfully submitted, Sergeant Peter F. Flannery. There's also a letter here from a couple of residents. I make a motion that the board ask Mr. Andrews to direct the chief to fulfill and implement Sergeant Flannery's report in regards to Shore Avenue and Sherman Street extension.
Second.
Motion made and second. Questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? 500.
Next, Mr. Chairman, we're at to any town business.
Let's start with Mrs. Winslow.
No, Mr. Chair.
No, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Holmes. Mr. Holmes,
Yes, sir.
any town?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, there was something I was going to ask you, Walter. I can't remember what it was now.
We'll go to
So,
Mrs. Begley and you can come back?
Yeah.
None? Okay, back to you.
yeah. Sewer business. We have our first quarterly, first quarter borne usage fee. I see Mr. Campina. How did you call that, Mr. Andrews? The 1 minute synopsis? I would ask Mr. Campina to give us a 2-minute synopsis in regards to the Bourne first quarter sewage usage bill. Mr. Campina? If you could speak real close, Guy.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, Mr. Andrews. We used the program given to us by Weston and Sampson, agreed to by Bourne and Wareham, and the numbers speak for themselves. They owe us $4,000 roughly. Let me get the actual numbers. They owe us $4,247.27, and that represents the first quarter bill of $65,463.23. From that, we deduct the $15,864.66 for the 2 cents per gallon credit for septage, Bourne septage at the facility. And then, of course, we have a credit of $45,000. Let me just be sure of the credit from 2011, and that totals out to $4,000, $4,247.27. We have a $45,351 credit from 2011. That's what they paid in excess. So they owe us for the first quarter $4,000. Second, third, and fourth quarter, they'll owe us $65,463.23. That's based on the 2012 estimates going forward. The first bill takes into consideration the previous year. We take the actuals, and if they give us more than we estimated, then we owe them. If it's less, then they owe us. And in this case, they gave us more than we estimated, so we owe them the $45,000, and that's why we have a total of $4,247.27. So I'm looking for your approval to send that bill to Bourne.
I make a motion that the Board of Sewer Commissioners authorize Mr. Campina to send a bill to the town of Bourne for the period of July 1st, 2011 through September 30th, 2011, which represents our first quarter billing in the amount of $4,247.27.
Motion made. Motion seconded. Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman, through you to Mr. Campina. Mr. Campina, I'm just curious, why is it an estimate? Why is the first quarter an estimate? This is the first time I've looked at one of
Second quarter,
these.
third quarter, and fourth quarter are estimates, because basically you take the 2012 budget and you project what their portion of that budget's going to be. And that's based because technically our budget for 2012 is a guess. It's the best guess of what it's going to cost you. We really don't know. Then when you're done with the 2012 budget, now you have actual numbers, and then you make the adjustments accordingly. So the first quarter is an estimate. We've given them a credit for the actual, which is 2011. and that's just how it's done continually. So that's
So when we're looking at the through you, Mr. Chairman, so when we're looking at the credit that they have,
Correct.
it's not that we were operating the sewer plant at less than what we were projecting to operate the sewer plant, or they used, or
Well,
they're...
you're right. I mean, if we save money, they save money. So now we're projecting $65,000 a quarter. Next year, if we make some drastic changes and we have economical, we save money, then they're going to save money. So in 2011 budget, we gave them an estimated quarterly bill. Actual at the end of 2011, we tally up the numbers, which I have here. It's a long form. These are the actuals, and then we look at what they paid us, what we actually spent, and either we credit them or they owe us.
Okay, I understand that. Through you, Mr. Chairman, I guess what I'm asking you is what specifically is the credit for? What's the reason?
Overpayment.
Overpayment. Based on the fact that it would cost us less to operate the sewer plant, or based on the fact that they used less than we projected?
No, it costs us less to use it. We save money, so therefore they save money.
Thank you, Mr. Campino.
Any other question? Hearing none. Motion is first and second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? 4-0-0.
Secondly, a part of that was the second, third, and fourth quarter billing. I would like permission from the selectmen to just issue those when they do. I don't know what the procedure in the past has been, but we have a second due just about, we're into third month, probably due next month. I'd like to get out in a timely fashion. One's requested that we get their bills timely. So I can prepare the paperwork, get it to you, and
I don't have any to do that.
Mr. Chairman, through you, I would just recommend that you, to keep us posted, Mr. Campino. Is this a problem to come in? And
no, I don't have a problem. It's just
so
I want to
we
get the
know
bill.
what-
I can let you
so
know.
we know where we're at?
Whichever's easy, absolutely. We're going to bill. You know what? We're going to bill 65. We're going to bill second quarter $65,463.23. That's what we're going to bill the second. We're going to bill the same thing the third. We're going to bill the same thing the fourth. And then the first quarter of next year, we make our adjustments, and that's the one that's going to change.
do we not adjust? Through you, Mr. Chairman.
Good, Mr. Holmes.
Would we not adjust that as we go through the year?
No.
You can't estimate that during the year so that we don't have this $45,000.
There's no provision. I suppose we can, but there's no provision for it.
You've been making interest on that money for several months, right?
Yeah. If we continue to bill, that's based on the estimate, and 65, of course, what they're going to owe us. It's not going to change. That's why I was saying this next quarter, until the remainder of this year, their bills are going to be $65,463.23. I'm going to bill them that in October sometime. I'm going to bill them that in January, and again in the fourth quarter. And then the first quarter this time, like we're doing now, we'll make the adjustments. Either they're going to owe us or we're going to owe them, or whatever the case may be. So that was my thoughts. No numbers are going to change.
Okay. That being the case, Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion that the sewer commissioners authorize Mr. Campino to send out the second, third, and fourth quarter billing at the amount of $65,463.23.
Motion made. Here, second.
I guess. Second.
Second, Mrs. Begley. Any questions? Mr. Snyder?
Mr. Chairman, I understand Mr. Campino's point, and that these bills are going to come before us, and they're going to be the same amount every year. Every quarter, but I think that it's a good opportunity for the board or the sewer commissioners for Mr. Campino to provide us with an update as to where we're at with respect to how close we are with the projections. So I would like to, myself, continue to see him come in for approval on these.
So,
Whatever you want.
So are you suggesting he comes in at the quarterly building just to give us an update?
That would be my feeling.
An update of what, where we are on the spending?
Correct. Where we are on the estimate.
In all due respect, we should be doing that regularly anyways. We should be meeting regularly, at least once a month, to go over everything that we're doing, what we're spending, and where we are, so you're abreast of what's going on in the treatment plant, more than just these quarterlies. I think it's something we should do routinely, and have that communication as what's going on at the plant, what we're spending, and so we're all aware.
I agree.
That's what I would feel, better than the quarterly. I'd like to do that monthly.
You know, Mr. Chairman, through you to Mr. Schneider, my motion wasn't to exclude him from coming to the meetings. It was just to authorize these 4 bills
Okay,
to be sent.
Yeah, not to
That's
preclude.
all it was.
I misunderstood what you were, what your motion was.
So what my motion does is authorize him to send 4 bills to the town of Bourne. That's all.
Very good.
Because I'd like to meet. I think it's very important that we know the communication because it holds me accountable. When we spend money at the treatment plant, I have to explain it to you folks. You may see something that I miss, and so together we can have a better program and be more frugal in our spending. That's how I look at it. For me, it's holding me to the fire, making me accountable to the taxpayers and to you folks, and I think I would like to meet monthly to go over all this, providing if you, whatever, but to go over these things. That's what I would appreciate. That's just my opinion.
Any other questions on the motion?
Okay.
Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 4-0-0.
Now, finally, on the Bourne bill, we rebate Bourne 2 cents a gallon for every drop of septic they bring to the facility. We charge them 9, we give them back 2, so we're keeping 7. We charge the Wareham haulers, who bring septic from Wareham, 8 cents a gallon. Now, this is part of this program. Now, in the IMA, as I read it, I can't find any mention of the 2 cents a gallon. I don't know where it is. I don't know where that agreement is. I'd like to find that agreement. I would like permission from the board to look into this. I don't really know what the 2 cents a gallon rebate we give to Bourne, why it is. We've been continually doing it. I was told at one time it was because they used to take our sludge. When we were doing sludge, they used to take our sludge, and I think that was in exchange, we'd credit them back 2 cents a gallon. I don't know, and so I'm looking to the help of the board to figure it out. Because what troubles me is that in this whole process of doing the bill, we deduct all the funds that we get from the septic receipts. We deduct it from the numbers. So we get that deducted and adjust their billing, of course, they pay, and then on top of everything, we give them back 2 cents more. So that troubles me, and I'd like to find out why we're doing that. And secondly, it seems not fair to me that our haulers in Wareham that are taking septic from the houses in our community are paying more, in essence, than Bourne, because we take 9 from the hauler, give Bourne back 2 cents, so we're keeping 7 cents, and we're getting 8 cents from ours. So I would like to either lower ours to 7 cents, so now at least our people in Wareham are paying 7 cents equal to the Bourne 7 cents. And that's simple to me, and I don't know what the board's pleasure is, but I'd like to bring that forward and see what
Either that or don't give the 2 cent back.
Well, that'd be great. But
And
I'd
the
like
best
to-
thing to do is, just like you mentioned earlier, research it and
Yeah.
find out why. If you stop giving them the 2 cent, they will tell you why you were giving it to them.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. So that's fine.
That's probably
Because
true.
the 2 cents, they got the total credit in this bill, the total credit of $15,000. That's the entire year credit. They've got it. It's
Nearly
theirs.
16.
Yes, they got that we gave them that credit. And I don't understand that credit. As I did my research, I couldn't find any real valid reason. I read the IMA thinking I missed something, read it again thinking I missed something. But there's no mention of that rebate. So there must be an agreement someplace because we've been doing it. And I don't know where that agreement is. I don't have it. And so I would like to find it to make sure. I mean, maybe there is an agreement. Maybe when we did in 2009, we wrote and readjusted it. Maybe it was taken out, but we're continuing to give them back to 2 cents. I'm not sure. I wasn't privy to that meeting, so I was kind of hoping we could figure that out.
Well,
Mr. Chairman, if I could, Guy, why don't we work on that together, because
Okay.
I'm sure the town clerk has some of the older contracts that would have been filed, or we can check with the files that we have, because I'm not sure we've done that totally yet. I think that would be a good place to start, Mr. Chairman.
Sounds like a winner to me. Thank you.
Okay.
Is
That's
there
all.
anything else?
That's all I have on the
Okay,
bond
thank you.
billing.
Mr. Holmes?
yeah, I don't think he needs permission to research that, but I do agree with Mr. Schneider that, the Board of Sewer Commissioners, we meet every week, Mr. Campiner, and I certainly welcome you to come as often as you like, and because I think you really are getting a handle on this place for once in a very long time in this town, and I appreciate everything you're doing down there. So you can come and sit before us anytime you want. Just let Mr. Andrews and the chairman know, and you can have your own little specific agenda here. That's fine with me.
Okay. I have a meeting with Mr. Andrews because we have some abatements we need to discuss. I got that piling up, so I'll work with Mr. Andrews on setting the timetable to meet with you folks on those issues and other issues that we're facing. Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Liaison reports.
Don't go.
Oh,
Wait,
oh.
wait. Any other sewer business?
Mr. Campino.
Any other
Sorry.
sewer business? You tried to get away from me.
Yes, I did. I'm sorry.
if I may, Mr. Cruz.
Yes.
I noticed that there's going to be a public hearing next week for Walmart. It was kind of postponed. I think that's with zoning. Is that right? And I started thinking about the discussions that were for BDOD 2. So I researched the minutes, and on March 1st of this year, this board discussed the BDOD 2 and sewer capacity. So there was a lengthy discussion. I won't go into it, but at the end of it, I'm sorry, Mrs. Winslow, she wasn't feeling well, she had to leave, but she said that since the next meeting before the planning board, and this meeting is for Walmart, won't be until April, the Board of Selectmen should gather the information regarding BDOD 2 capacity before making any decisions. And Selectman Holmes stated they should call Mr. Hogan and set up another meeting and all sit down together, and feels this would take some time. And I'm just wondering if any progress was made on that.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes, Mr. Chair, through you to Mrs. Begley. We did have a meeting which myself, Guy, you were there, Mark
Yes.
Gifford, Mr. Andrews, Town Administrator. I think Selectman Winslow was there.
Yes.
Mr. Hogan, and some of his folks from AD Makepeace. And they walked us through, and I think there's a report on this somewhere that we received, and it walked us through if AD Makepeace was to build out, max everything that they could do, there was a number of gallons, because the whole reason for that discussion was based on the fact that we signed some agreement with AD Makepeace several years ago, giving them unlimited
Capacity.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right, I'm sorry. And well, it wasn't the previous board, it was before I got here.
Right.
And I see Mrs. Ekstrom waving. She was on that board, I think, at the time. And so we had this meeting so that we could clarify with Mr. Hogan and AD Makepeace what that capacity might be. And then I thought we were going to we haven't had a follow-up meeting to that, but I thought the next step in that was, and Guy, you might have to go back and look. I know I have those numbers, so I forget if it was 110. I don't want to give out a number because I might be mistaken. And then the next step in that was to get back with Mr. Hogan, because he did express one night here at a meeting that he was willing to go back and look at that contract to update that language. We haven't done that. We haven't had that follow-up meeting. But there was a presentation that we gave to the Board of Selectmen. I think it was probably 2 weeks after that. So maybe, Mr. Campina, you could look at your notes. I'll try to find mine.
I'll look at my
maybe
notes. The number
next
was
week.
somewhere in the neighborhood you were talking about. I'm not 100% sure. I know that when I did my own research from the information I had at the board, I was looking at the Tyhonet BDOT, I guess. I'm not too sure, so I don't want to speak out of turn here. But I didn't see any numbers mentioned as far as capacity, but we did give them the rights to build out. And I think my understanding of the whole thing is that the town of Wareham would move forward and do the projects they have to do. And then that's, the chips are going to fall where they may, because if we get to a point, and it's my understanding, if we use up all capacity and they come forward as no capacity, I don't believe they can compel the town to build another treatment plant. But again, you need to get clarification on that.
So if it's okay, what I'll do is tomorrow I will send, I think Mrs. Burke was...
Mrs. Burke was involved in that meeting.
I will send an email to Mrs. Burke and ask her to forward me, the notes from that meeting. And then maybe, Mr. Chairman, we could put this on the agenda for Tuesday night under sewer business.
Sure
And
can.
I'll get that email forwarded to all the board members as an information email on tomorrow or Thursday. And then we'll have a week to at least look at that presentation. There was a presentation they gave.
Yes, they did. And they think it was a good
and
job.
I'll email that and include you, Mr. Campina.
Okay.
I don't believe it was ever electronically sent to us.
I don't believe so.
I have to go back and look.
I remember from the meeting that they were very cordial, and I don't think they had any intentions of forcing anything down our throat. As I remember the meeting, it was very cordial, very, very, very open, and willing to do whatever it has to, to explain the numbers, and that's at that meeting. Now, I haven't had anything since, so I can't speak to anything since then, but at that meeting, I got the impression that that the numbers were open. There was like an 80,000, I think, or something like that they were definitely going to develop, and I think that was well within. I think 50 now and 30 max that they're going to ask for, greater than the 50 that we already gave them.
That's my recollection.
So I
as
think
well,
we should at
Mr.
least
Chair.
get that clarified and put that number solidly someplace, and then go around that.
Mr. Begley?
Thank you, Mr. Cruz. Well, I mean, we kind of ended up having the discussion, of course, about AD Makepeace because of the contract that exists. But again, and I believe that unfortunately the public hearing is, I believe it's Tuesday, which is during the Selectmen's meeting. It's unfortunate because it would be nice if this board could kind of sit in on that. Because if Walmart moves, they're going to be looking for a number from us. And if we don't, we're not going to have a number to give them. Because we have to have a number. I mean, it's all interconnected. And I guess, you know, with all that's happened, there's been a lot that's been before this board that it probably just fell through the cracks. But I appreciate your attention to this, Mr. Holmes.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes, Mr. Holmes.
After that meeting, and I will not invoke a member of the audience, but after that meeting, Mrs. Begley, a moment, Mr. Chair.
Well, we all have.
I know, I'd like her to hear this. That's okay. You okay? Following that meeting, we had a Board of Selectmen meeting where it was just before the change of the board. I want to say it was in March. Walmart came in one night, and we had put them off. Well, one of our members were threatened that night by Walmart, I believe, over that number. So there was another meeting, not with AD Makepeace. I mean, there was another meeting here with Walmart. And I will agree with Mrs. Begley that I think that whoever's planning these meetings, even though the Board of Selectmen have, per se, have nothing to do with whether Walmart moves, we do, however, have the right as a Board of Sewer Commissioners to make a decision on Walmart. And I will comment that I think it's very unfortunate that all of these meetings, with the exception of one, I believe, have been on Tuesday nights, which eliminates the Board of Sewer Commissioners from attending any of these public hearings. So I know it's not your fault. It's just a political statement, I guess. But let me pull that together. But again, there was another meeting after that when Walmart came in. It was just before the election, a couple of weeks, right? Yes. That's right.
Walmart came in twice, once to ask, and they were told we couldn't give them because we didn't know what the capacity was.
And then we met with AD Makepeace.
Yes.
And then they came in after that meeting.
They came back specifically because in between we had given gallonage to Westfield.
Right.
And that their contention was that we had gallons to give away when we said we didn't have gallons to give away. So that's why they came back. That was their contention.
And if I, through you, Mr. Chair, again one more time, and I'll shut up. But and I do believe there was another issue. It's important. There was another issue in that area, in addition to Westfield, over a mobile. I want to say a mobile area.
Great Hill.
Grey Goose or
Great Hill, whatever.
Right.
They have I think they have some gallons now. They wanted to expand their entire trailers.
That's correct.
So they became an issue also. And
Right.
and I'm still talking to those folks, and I'm telling them that I don't have any definitive answer, because they've actually sent me a set of plans to move forward on sewering their facility. They want to move forward. There's a lot of absolutely. So
there are a lot of pieces to that, Spike.
So we'll be looking for more information next week then?
Yes.
We'll have a busy week.
So we'll just dig more and see where we are.
I had requested the minutes from March 1st and 15th because I couldn't remember. I just knew it was in March. So on the March 1st was when this whole B.2 was discussed, and it was agreed they needed more information. And I believe it was March 15th that Walmart came in and it became a little contentious.
Is the B.2 was voted at town meeting, or was it something the selectmen agreed to? As I went through my notes, I found it on one of the town meeting. First, it was something, so I don't know really how it was.
B.1 and 2.
Yeah, so are they town meeting both, or are they one's one and one is and one's not?
Was it, Mr. Chairman?
Because they're overlays, I just wonder if they were done at town meeting, if that...
Mr. Chairman, as we did the research on this, I seem to, and I have this information, but I seem to recall we found one of those under town meeting. There was a town meeting vote, but the contract in question was done by the Board of Selectmen.
Okay. Okay.
Right.
Any other questions before Mr. Campino vacates the seat?
And we're going to put this on our agenda for next week.
Yes,
under
yes,
sewer
it is.
commissioners.
I think.
Wish I could be more helpful, but that's all I can remember.
Okay, Mr. Holmes, liaison reports.
I just have one. You know, we brought this up a few weeks back. I don't know time. Maybe it was 6 weeks ago. But it came up again last week at the week before at a board meeting. Is the use of attorneys. And, you know, we, as the Board of Selectmen, appoint these boards. We're responsible for these boards. They are our responsibility. And, you know, when they ask the question, as the liaison, you know, are we supposed to use town council, or can we continue to use a lawyer of our choosing? My answer was, as I recall from our discussion some time ago, was that if it's a new issue, we should be using town council. And because it's, a lot of that stuff is inclusive in our agreement with Mr. Bowen's firm. And if it's an old issue or something ongoing, that they should continue to use the old lawyer and bring in Mr. Bowen's firm to transition the answer over, or work together to finalize that answer. Is that correct, my memory?
Mr. Chairman, through you, yeah, I'd be happy to. Mr. Holmes, you are correct, and we did circulate on the 15th with all the boards, commissions, committees, a reminder of the policy directive that is in place relative to checking with the chairman of the Board of Selectmen as well as the town administrator. Unless there's some explicit provision where there's something otherwise provided that I don't know about myself, we are to follow that procedure, and that's my understanding of the matter.
Mrs. Begley?
So was this a Board of Selectmen policy that we're referring to?
Mrs.
If I
Begley?
could just answer that, maybe we could just send 88-2 to all the committees, please. Do you agree, Mr. Cruz? This is
What
just
was
the
that number
policy.
again?
It's 88-2. It's the policy statement from the Town of Wareham Board of Selectmen, access to town council.
What's the, through you, Mr. Chair, Mrs. Begley, what's the date on that?
Well, 88 indicates the year. So it's...
Oh, great.
Yeah. Anytime, like when you see any of these policies that even say 70-something-3, that's from the 70s.
So that policy really doesn't address the whole new, all-inclusive town council thing?
I think
does it?
I think it does, because when we had in my opinion, we had this lengthy discussion with Attorney Bowen, who understands that there may be an attorney that's been ongoing, say, for a committee, but he should be CC'd on this because, like, I think as we discussed, he's our general practitioner. And although some of these boards and committees may have a certain comfort level because they're familiar with an attorney, it doesn't mean, I mean, we're paying extra for these attorneys. So it doesn't mean that Attorney Bowen isn't certainly capable of representing us. It's just maybe their comfort level. Others it may be that it's a specialty for certain, like for zoning, et cetera, et cetera. But people need to be abiding by this policy. If they're using an attorney, they need to contact Mr. Cruz and/or Mr. Andrews.
Yeah, I agree. And Mr. Chairman, if I may continue, some of the argument that they're using is that, and I don't follow this religion on this, but is that they're paying for it. It's not coming out of the town budget. And my answer to that is every dollar that we spend on these committees is tax money that was taken from our citizens. So although it's not a town budget item, and it doesn't affect the $250 that we have to spend per se on that one line item, it's all tax dollars. And you know, in Mr. Bowen's firm, we hired them because they had the guy who wrote the book on zoning. They had the guy who wrote the book on Walmart. They had the guy who wrote the book on this. And so to continue to spend money on lawyers when some of this stuff is included in the all-inclusive, I won't say free because we're paying $187,000 for that service, to spend an extra $10,000 when Rich's firm could do it for nothing. It's $10,000 that could have gone to a cause that's part of that those committees are spending money on. So
Snyder? Oh, go ahead.
I don't know if we need to review this or put out some kind of, try to educate our chairman and our committees
Mr.
on
Chairman.
what this board wants.
Yes, Mr. Snyder?
I understand what Mr. Holmes is trying to say, but I actually wonder if we're straying a little bit beyond what we should be discussing as far as liaisons or committees.
Oh, I only bring it up, Mr. Snyder, because it came up at a meeting, at a board meeting, and I was asked the question. So I just want to make sure I'm giving that person the right answer.
Well,
That
you
board.
know, to get back to the original, and then we'll shut it out and go to liaison reports. I talked to one of the lawyers, and they were receptive. They were one of the extra ones, and they were receptive to Mr. Bowen's firm taking it over. So it's our fault if we don't continue and do it right. Liaison reports, do we have any, Mr.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
The Board of Health now has a quorum. I believe we have additional applicants, and they plan on meeting October 5th at 4 p.m. Mrs. Winslow isn't here. Capital Planning had met this morning, and they continue to discuss the warrant articles, and they have declined to have audio recordings of their meetings. And as from what I understand, that's well within their right to do so because they are appointed by an appointing authority other than this Board of Selectmen. However, I was a bit disappointed that they declined to record in the interest of transparency.
Mr. Snyder? Liaison report? You already made a statement. Liaison report? Stick to your liaison report?
I'm sorry, I
see the puzzled look. That's
it's very puzzling, very puzzling. Might I understand, Selectman Begley, that they're basically saying that they don't want to have transparency in their board?
That's not what I said. I just said that it was my interest of transparency for audio recordings and or video recordings, but they declined. I didn't really have a reason.
Mr. Snyder, liaison report? No?
I have nothing.
Mr. Chairman, I'll follow up on that. I'm not sure I quite understand.
Is this a liaison report? Or
We had
just-
yeah, I'm questioning Mrs. Begley on her liaison report. If it's a committee, and you passed the Board of Selectmen policy last week, as I read in my packet, how does this committee become exempt?
It's my understanding that it may be a flaw in the charter, is my understanding, and it's the boards and committees that are appointed by this board are subject to policies that we, as a policy-making entity, produce. However, the alternate appointing authority, which is the town moderator, chair of the board, and planning and or FinCom, is the other appointing authority.
Good.
However, the charter does not provide that appointing authority as a policy-making entity, so it's a real gray area.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mrs.
Thank
Begley.
Mr. Holmes, you said you didn't have any liaison? You're done.
No, I already did mine.
Okay, I don't have any. Motion?
Motion to adjourn?
Motion made, motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? 400. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.